everybody. Welcome to week 4 of the high school football season here on YouTube, on Mirror TV. My name is Scott Franco, joined again by our high school football everything guru, Mike Boytim. And before we take a look at our 5 games that we have on tap here, we've been asking for masks to, in the spirit of COVID-19. We've had people the first couple of weeks send us some stuff. And Mike and I are about to lift up to show the 2 new masks and gaiters too. We don't want to be prejudiced against gaiters, but this is our board that again my daughter Maggie Franco, preschool teacher in Altoona, made for us to put stuff on. So Mike, you want to tell us what we got this week?
Oh well, looks like we got 2 different Tyrone ones. 2 different designs.
Didn't somebody just walk up?
Yep, got one handed to me, and Dan Eisenberg,
our director today.
Yeah, our director that works here at the Altoona Mirror, he brought in the other one, this one here. So 2 different designs of Tyrone, and then you got this one with a message, I believe.
Central sent us their Central Gator, their Dragon Gator, but I'm not allowed to wear a Detroit Lions jersey anymore.
At least you're wearing red this week.
See, now Central people are going to think they got to me, but this is my Sheets Elementary School Haifa football thing that was given to us by our Haifa coach. His name was Gary Zimmerman, once played at Hollidaysburg. Great guy, great coach, coached my boys when they were young, and it still fits me. That's what I like about this, but it just happens to look like
you
Central
definitely could have passed it off as a Central.
I could have gotten away with it. I could have said Dave Baker gave it to me, but that would have been probably some kind of PIAA violation. So we don't want to go there. Where we are going to go first, though, are the football games that we're going to be looking at. The first one is the big one. It was going to open the season back in, I believe, was it August 24th?
28th.
28th. Hollidaysburg at Altoona. Altoona coming off that big win last week. Hollidaysburg got its first win in week 3. This game's at Altoona. They're going to have fans. They're going to have band there. They're going to have cheerleaders. These kids are going to probably feel like they're playing in Texas Stadium where the Cowboys play. What do you expect from this game?
Well, you know, that's what Homer said. Homer DeLatre said one of the things he was really looking forward to was just a normal atmosphere.
Yes.
It should feel pretty normal over at Mansion Park. I believe that anybody that wants to get into that game is probably going to be able to get into the game. And who wouldn't want to get into that game? Because it looks like it's going to be a pretty good contest. We got 2 teams coming off their first win. And Holidaysburg looked a lot better last week. You were down at that game. Can you talk a little bit about how they
Hollidaysburg was better than this team. They won by 21. They could have won by more. They 3 times they're in the red zone, and they came away with no points. They got to clean that up. Altoona terrifies me. I thought Altoona could win because I heard stories about Cumberland Valley being down this year, but Altoona, I mean, that's such a great win for Vince and those kids because to go through what they did last year, now I'm worried.
Well, I was at the Altoona game, and I'll tell you, what came together on the field was what we heard about all year. What we heard from Vince Niedermeyer Jr. saying, we want to control the clock, we want to hold the ball on offense, we want long drives, and we want to score at the end of those drives. It didn't happen last year. They were trying to learn the offense. They know the offense now. Marcus Day knows the offense, and he looked great. He looked great running it. Stroop looked good running up the middle, and this team controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball against Cumberland Valley. Now, will that continue the whole year? I don't know, but it looked good this past week, and Altoona is going to be a big challenge for Hollidaysburg.
And I got to think Hollidaysburg is going to have to almost crowd that defensive line, offensive line, and dare Altoona to throw the ball because I think, according to our stats, those 2 Stroop, who's like a 1970s fullback from the old days, him and they have about 40-something plus carries between the 2 of them, which means they were like, we're going to run the ball down your throat till you can stop us.
But you know what, though? Altoona did throw for 75 yards, which was pretty good for them, and they also had a couple plays called back due to penalties. So
they could have more points.
They really looked good on offense, and it'll be interesting. They had a couple explosive plays, and they'll have to make Hollidaysburg will have to make sure they contain Altoona and keep them to those 2 or 3 yards on first down instead of 4 or 5, because that's a big difference when you're facing a 3rd and 6 as opposed to a 3rd and 2.
Yeah, I think those linebackers like Hunter Gibbons at Hollidaysburg, Rocco Grassi, Ben Estep, I think they get Sander Bainey back this week. He's another linebacker. Those guys are going to have to help out with that defensive line. And as a dad, I'm afraid because I just think Altoona got so much confidence from that game last week. I just think, and then they're high school kids. They remember what the game was last year. I think Hollidaysburg was the final was 35-21.
It's been lopsided the past
Yes.
2 years since the rivalry started playing
Right.
again the first time since 2011. The last 2 years.
Yeah, good segue by Mike because talking about rivalries. Our next game is Penn Cambria at Central Cambria. Last week, Mike and I had Cambria Heights Penn Cambria on here, and I know I picked Penn Cambria. I'm not sure, and Cambria Heights shut them out.
Yeah, 21-0.
And now Central Cambria is 3-0, which I don't know what that for the first time in however, but now that game tonight or Friday night is going to be. I got to think Central Cambria is going to be fired up to be hosting that one.
Well, Central Cambria won in a lopsided fashion last year. This is for the goalpost trophy. They play for the goalpost trophy.
Did not know that. You know that now.
And this is a big game because if Central Cambria wins, it's their first 4-0 start. And Shane McGregor said he couldn't remember the last time they were Central Cambria's 4-0. They've gotten off to good starts the past couple of years. They had a big win against Johnstown 2 years ago and then lost the last 9 games. And then last year they won their first 2 games and then lost the last 8 games. They remember that. They have a lot of young kids that want to win. And here's a story you'll like. They got a kid named Will Westrick at middle linebacker. He had never played football before in his life, before coming out for the team this year. And Shane McGregor said he's been leading the defense and he's been a leader out there making a lot of tackles and everything.
Underclassman?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Oh, wow.
That's a pretty cool story out there at up there in Evansburg.
And you got to think Penn Cambria, which was shut out last week, they've got to be kind of fired up to want to come out and get that bad taste out of it because if you can shut Penn Cambria's offense out, that's pretty good for that. And you got to think Central Cambria's hoping to watch that film and see if they can do some of the same things that Cambria Heights did.
Right. I think they need to make sure that they stick with the balance they had in the first couple games. They didn't really run at all against Cambria Heights, which Cambria Heights has a good line, but Harold and Merrimack, Cicalas, Storm, that's a great passing game. But for it to really work and really click, they need to have the running game as well.
Speaking of running games, we're going to go to our next one. Is Richland and Cambria Heights. Cambria Heights does have a nice run game. Now, can Cambria Heights follow up that big win last week? In Richland, I believe
2-1.
2-1 also. And Richland's they're just a really, really good football team. I mean, if Cambria Heights can pull this off, what a notch in their belts this would be for the Highlanders. How good of a chance does Cambria Heights have in this one?
Well, Coach Lewis wasn't happy with the way Cambria Heights played in the second week, and he was really happy with the way they rebounded against Penn Cambria. And if they can keep that kind of effort up, that's what they need because they're going to run the ball. I mean, Ryan Beer, he can throw occasionally, get a couple big first downs, but he's not going to go throw for 300 yards or something like that. Cambria Heights needs to be able to run the ball. That's something that BG struggled to do against Richland in the first game, and they have Keegan Myrick, who's one of the best running backs in the area. So it's going to be a heck of a challenge. But if Cambria Heights wants to continue this momentum and take it to the next level where they're in the upper tier of the Laurel Highlands, this is the type of game they need to win.
Like with the Bedfords, the BGs,
Right.
and Westmont Hilltop could be something considered up there. Speaking of upper tier teams, our next game, I think Bellwood Annis just has the penthouse view of that conference every year. They're on the road at Williamsburg. Bellwood's 3-0. Williamsburg tied at halftime last week with Tussey Mountain before the bottom fell out. I was the only one who picked Williamsburg last week. I was feeling pretty good about myself until I saw the final score. Bellwood Annis at Williamsburg, any chance, or do you think Nick Loveridge's worried about a letdown maybe?
What I'm going to say here is that Bellwood needs to work on its passing game a little bit. They haven't really thrown the ball much in the first 3 games, and it'll be interesting because Williamsburg has stopped the run pretty decently. That's what enabled them to be able to beat Juniata Valley, and they contained Tussey Mountain until in our story, we had that Colton Bishop hit the outside run there to start the second half, and that kind of snowballed things a little bit. But Tussey has done a good job containing tough running games like Juniata Valley and Tussey Mountain. So it's interesting if Bellwood just tries to run up the middle, against Williamsburg. It'll be interesting to see if maybe the Blue Pirates can stop them a little bit, and Bellwood is going to actually have to have Zach Pellegrin open up the offense a little bit, because whenever it gets to the playoffs, Bellwood's going to need to pass the ball a little bit more, and it'll be interesting to see if that starts happening this week.
And the thing that would scare me is Bellwood just has such depth for a small school program, and Williamsburg does not have that luxury. And just Bellwood, if they have kids that aren't doing it, Nick can say, well, we're just going to put a backup in, and sometimes their backups are as good as some other people's starters. But I want to take a second now to get a shameless plug here. We do not have a Bellwood Annis Gator or mask up here yet. I am going to the Bellwood Annis JV game Monday night because they are hosting the Holidaysburg Golden Tigers. So if anybody would want to maybe find me, I'm not that hard to find. I kind of stand out in the crowd. And give the Mirror TV here something to hang up. Mike and I would sure appreciate that. And then going into our last game is one we do not have yet. We do not have a Bishop Guilfoyle thing to hang up here on the wall. Bishop Guilfoyle is hosting Westmont Hilltop, BG 1 and 2, Westmont Hilltop 2 and 1. Westmont Hilltop, one of my favorite offenses, because all they do, they have 50 plays on offense. I think they run 46 on the ground. BG has to be worried about that on Saturday.
And they have to be worried about the fact that they have struggled against Westmont the last 2 years. They've lost the last 2 times, and in lopsided fashion as well. Even Bedford beat Westmont last Saturday 28-0. Well, they only had the ball 6 times. They scored 4 touchdowns. But you got to take advantage of the opportunities you do have. And Coach Wheeler told me this week, BG needs to score early, they need to get up on them, and then that will put Westmont in an uncomfortable situation.
Force them to have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And one more thing before we say goodbye, a couple things. One, we want to thank, again, Central and Tyrone for the mass they sent the Gators. Central is at Huntington. Tyrone is at Bald Eagle area. Tyrone did not play last week, correct?
No, Tyrone did play last week. They beat Huntington. Bald Eagle didn't play. So you got Tyrone and Bald Eagle, 2 teams that have both missed a week already this year, and Central looking to be another 4-0 team.
And Central been in a good game yet. They've pretty much steamrolled everybody, right?
They had a competitive game against Bellefonte, but they've been
2 touchdowns. They still have 2 touchdowns.
They've been able to, but. If they win this week and go 4-0, they got Clearfield at home next week, home opener.
If we'd ever want to do a live broadcast of our show from a high school, gosh, wouldn't that be the time to do it? And one more thing for our segment that once again Mike Boytim has nothing to do with, our cool names segment.
I wanna know, what's the name of the game?
Segment. I was disappointed that only one person emailed me a name in. And it was S. Franco at altoonamir.com. Cool names of kids in our coverage area. We have Hobbs Dill, we have Parker Gregg, Sebastian Ross, and this is terrible right now. I don't have my 4th name in front. Yes, I do. Mercury Swain. But I had one person email me a name, Chestnut Ridge, and he's been there a while. It doesn't take away from his cool name factor, but Logan Pfister. And again, he's a quarterback, right?
He's and a track star.
And a track star. So we have 5 names. 4 of them are skill position. 1's a lineman. I feel like parents out there aren't naming their lineman-shaped sons with these cool names that they could have. Like I wanted to name my son, I'll say it again, Marino Franco. I was not allowed. We had to name him Dominic. Hey, what are you going to do? But again, if you want to send the cool name candidate to sfranco at altoonamir.com, I greatly appreciate it. Mike's shaking his head. I can feel it here on the side of my face here. But that'll do it for us this week. Again, please send us something in. 301 Cayuga Avenue, Altoona, PA 16602. Mike or my name.
And don't forget your like button.
Oh, that's right. I have that down here written by our director, Dan Eisenberg. Yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell that I'm pointing at here, so that you never miss an episode. And we're close to 1,000 subscribers. We
So
were
close.
13 the last time I checked. Have you checked recently?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's right there. I think I saw 12.
Yeah, so we're down to 12. Come on, people, you got it. Fine. Call your mom, call your grandma, call your ex-wife. We don't care. We want somebody to subscribe so we can say we have 1,000. But for Mike Boytim, my name is Scott Franco. Thanks for watching Mirror TV, and we'll see you next week.